The old branch line coach. Thomas the Tank Engine is very proud to own a branch line on Sodor and have two faithful coaches called Annie and Clarabelle. So he always waits for the guard to blow the whistle for platform 2, and then Thomas whistles, then off he goes on his journey. Thomas will always say, "Oh, come along, we're rather late." And Annie and Clarabelle will always say, we're coming along. One day, Thomas stopped a mate wait, and he was very shocked. A tree had got shot down, and Thomas saw a bandit coach. Thomas was very surprised when he saw it. "Wait until the Fat Controller hears about this," said Thomas. Thomas found the Fat Controller waiting at Knapford. Sir, come to Mateway Station. I've got something to show you. I found an old abandoned coach." "You must have seen it after the tree got chopped down. Let's take a look." And off they went. Thomas was very excited. He could hardly puff and go slow. But the Fat Controller didn't mind either. He was also curious. "Here it is, sir." The Fat Controller had a long look. Wondered the Fat Controller. "It's still very useful, isn't it?" asked Thomas.
"Victor will get it spick and span in no time. Let's take it to the Steamworks."
At the Sodor Steamworks, Victor was very surprised to see Thomas with an old abandoned coach, and this is what he said, and Thomas wished at him. "Hello, Thomas, my friend. You don't even need to ask why you're here. I can see that you're helping the coach in need. Don't worry, this coach will be spick and span in no time. You go continue your branch line." So Thomas was uncoupled, and off he done what Victor says. When Thomas arrived at Dryer, he was absolutely shocked. He never saw so much passengers. "Oh my God," cried Thomas. "I've never seen so much passengers." Since there were so much passengers, they all had to squish into Annie and Clarabelle. So the passengers squished in, and Thomas left. It took Thomas 25 minutes to reach to the next station at Matewait. He wanted to do his job because he was a guaranteed connection. "I hope there isn't as much passengers at this station," said Thomas to himself. So he took a wish and had a look. He hoped there wouldn't be more passengers, but there were twice as more passengers. Since Bertie was AFK and Thomas was a guaranteed connection, he decided to collect them in anyways. It took him hours, and the sunset was happening when he arrived in Knapford. There was no other entrance there. Just in time.
"Thomas, why are you late? You're a guaranteed connection. I rely on you to be on time. If you keep being late, I'll have to close down your branch line. Now go to bed," said the Fat Controller. So Thomas was uncoupled from Annie. He took a wish, blew his whistle, and off he went to Tidmouth Sheds. This time the very next day, Thomas was exhausted with all the heavy passengers. He couldn't take it much longer. He was glad of a rest. Just then,
"Thomas the Tank Engine!"
What's going on? Is there an earthquake or something? Am I dreaming or what?" Thomas was absolutely shocked. That woke him up.
"Since your branch line is getting really popular these days, I decided to restore that coach you found on your branch line, which will make it to the train very lightly," said the Fat Controller. "Here it is, spick and span." Thomas was glad to see the new coach that was going to help out on his branch line, so he wouldn't have to be tired and delayed every day. "Phew, that's a relief. Thank God," said Thomas. Since Thomas was so excited, he decided to wait in Knapford all night until the next morning. And the next morning, Thomas wasn't having trouble at all. As he saw all the passengers, there was even more. "This won't bother me. There's so much passengers that can fit in the coach." But Thomas was wrong. Cinders and ashes! What happened? The train was far too heavy. Thomas broke a piston and toppled off the track. He had to stop at once. "What has happened to me?" asked Thomas to his driver.
"There were 400 times more engine passengers. Even though you had an extra coach, the train was still heavy because the coach was heavy as well,"
said his driver. Poor Thomas had to go to the Steamworks. At the Steamworks, Thomas was sad. "I hope this coach doesn't have to get scrapped," sighed Thomas.
"Thomas, I have a plan. Since this coach is too damaged to get fixed and too heavy because it's very old, I'm gonna put it back where it was in mate weight, like where it was never moved. So the fat controller brought Thomas to mate weight, put trees and new plants around it. Over months they grew and the coach may rest in peace. Thomas was happy. He didn't mind once the coach was still active, but he was still happy to have Annie and Clarabelle.